Alright, so I have a fishing story for you. Lessons were learned. I'm sure all of us have those fishing stories where we messed up pretty bad, and we have those fishing stories where some good fish were caught. This one has a little bit of both, so let me explain. Our target location was False Cape State Park in the very southern part of eastern Virginia, just above North Carolina's Outer Banks and below Virginia Beach. The plan was to leave my place in Virginia with my buddy Caesar, a rookie angler who I started teaching how to fish just last year. He's still yet to get anything bigger than 2 pounds, but he's learned the basics quickly. Then we'd pick up wildlife expert Ty the Snakeman Smith in Southern Virginia, who is a veteran multi-species angler both in salt and freshwater. Our camp destination resides between the freshwater, brackish water system of Back Bay and the Atlantic Ocean, a great spot to fish for both fresh and saltwater species. I wanted to get some type specimens and data of fishes for future KNFS projects as well as wildlife footage for the Koaw Nature channel. Ty was looking for some rare reptiles for a publication he's working on. My first mistake was not browsing the camping literature well enough and instead focusing on the local fishing regulations. Ty and I both thought it would only be about 3.5 miles hiking to our campsite, 5 miles max. Well, that's not the case. The tram to the State Park Visitor Center does not take campers. Any campers have to hike in 4 miles through the Back Bay Wildlife Refuge just to reach False Cape State Park. And even then, campers have to park about 1.5 miles away from the Back Bay Wildlife Refuge's main parking lot. So it's a bit more than 8 miles hiking from the parking lot to our campsite, and we added a mile to that by finding snakes and other wildlife along a side trail. But oh boy, my second mistake was packing way too much gear. Since this was a work trip, I needed filming gear, collection gear, camping gear, and fishing gear. I packed a tripod and a DSLR camera with 4 lenses, 2 GoPros, my phone, a film light, headlamp, and extra batteries for all of them, 5 poles ranging from light to heavy with 2 spinning reels and 3 bait casters, 2 tackle boxes packed with various tackle and lures, extra fishing line and other fishing needs, a seine net, a cast net, and a small dip net, a snorkel, polarized goggles, and a dive knife, 4 glass tanks and 1 plastic tank with cleaning rags, a medical kit with sunscreen and bug spray, a 2-person tent, a sleeping bag, and somehow a roll of quarters got in, my jacket, swim trunks, plenty of plastic bags in case of rain, water sneakers, and hiking boots, and finally there was about 2 pounds of food, a water bottle, a mini stove with 2 gas canisters, and other coffee and cooking needs, including a small shovel and a cast iron skillet. Oh yes, a heavy cast iron skillet. I am an idiot. And to carry it all, I had my camera bag, a lens bag, a non-frame hiking backpack, a bag for the poles, and a gym bag. And I had ordered a frame pack for the heavy gear, but it was 5 days late and never arrived before I left for False Cape. So yeah, I did my best to get some footage along the way to the campsite, but it was tricky to do, unloading and reloading all of the gear off my back. We also kept an eye out for the reptiles Ty was after. We sure found a lot of cottonmouth. And Ty counted over 60 species of birds just on the way in. I had about 92 pounds of gear, about 3/5 my body weight. A weight I knew I could handle fairly well for 3.5 miles, but for 9 miles, that was just a lot of pain on my shoulders without a frame pack to evenly distribute the weight. On this day, Ty and Caesar definitely were pushing their limits, but were much smarter than I as they packed much lighter. We arrived to our campsite just before dark, just enough time to get the tent set up. We didn't have that half day to get any work done or fishing in. The group was fairly exhausted, but I did go out and do some night wildlife browsing. I woke up early to browse the beach. My third mistake was that I thought Ty had booked at least one more night of camping, so we'd have at least 2 full days for field work. I only had 1 day to collect footage of fishes and other wildlife. So the plan was to make the most of this one full day I had. I hiked just under a mile to the other side of the state park to the brackish system of Back Bay. I caught some very beautiful largemouth bass. At first they looked like spotted bass, but no teeth on the tongue and the extension of the maxilla past the eye is a great way to ID a largemouth bass from spotted bass. The shoreline was dense with cabbage, so it was really about using inline spinner baits and other single hooked, mostly weedless lures. Some nice white perch were caught too, a species more closely related to white bass than yellow perch. I brought some of them back to the camp, cleaned them, and prepared some breakfast for the boys. A little garlic and salt seasoning brine, followed by a grill and some olive oil.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay, let's see what the former chef...
It tastes just like meat to me because I'm so hungry. It's really good.
I'd never eaten white perch. That was a delicious meat.
Pretty good. Fresh.
Then it was off to the Atlantic Ocean where I found a freshly dead harvest fish that I asked Caesar to cut up for bait while I got the cast net going to catch some live bait fish. Some Atlantic silversides and southern kingfish found my net. Ty used a high-low rig in the surf while I tied on a Carolina rig for Caesar with a 1-ounce sinker and a 1/0 circle hook. I figured he'd get a grunt or a croaker or a sheep's head, something small on this rig. After about 20 minutes, Caesar had something. He called out to me saying that he was stuck in the surf. But when I looked at his rod tip, I knew he had a nice fish on. I was so cold that my shivering made it hard to hold the camera steady.
Shore it! Come on!
Finally, we saw that it was a cownose ray.
Oh, yeah.
Caesar was playing it well considering I only rigged him with 10-pound test braided line.
Caesar!
He played it for just under 10 minutes. We didn't let Caesar handle the ray at first. Like most rays, this species has a sharp barb with a venom that is quite painful, and although rare, possibly lethal if it jabs you in the right place. But cownose rays are usually pretty docile creatures and not a super high risk. But this moment right here made the whole trip worthwhile. Here was a rookie fisher getting his biggest fish ever and showing such admiration for the creature. This was definitely more than a 30-pound fish. For me, as Caesar's fishing mentor, it was really satisfying seeing him play the fish so well, land it, and then get to have this moment. I believe a lot of us anglers who teach others how to fish can fully understand that satisfaction, whether we've taught our kids or our friends. It's just a good feeling to pass on the knowledge to another person and see them succeed. I wanted to get some more detailed photos of the features on this fish, but a massive lightning storm was only minutes behind us. We had some good time in the tent as the lightning storm passed, chatting about Caesar's big catch.
Very good, man. For a rookie fisher, you did excellent. So you are now moving from rookie to intermediate level. One day you will be veteran level.
What's veteran level?
You just got to fish a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
That's all. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
By the time the storm blew over, I had about an hour of daylight. So while the boys slept, I headed back out to Back Bay to try and get some gar or some chain pickerel. Only more bass were caught. But it was definitely relaxing fishing. I decided I wanted to make the next day's hike a bit easier, so I hiked about 2 miles back through the state park and hid about 40 pounds of my gear in the forest to make the first part of tomorrow's hike easier. I then surveyed the swampy waters in the woods, doing my best not to step on any cottonmouth in the dark. I did get specimens of one fish I was really hoping to get in this area, the blue-spotted sunfish, one of the 3 species within the genus Enneacanthus. I also found a bunch of eastern mud minnows, a species that isn't actually in the family that has minnows. The eastern mud minnow is more closely related to pike and muskie, but this species just doesn't get much bigger than 4.5 inches, much smaller than its pike cousins. And of course, some eastern mosquito fish were found as well. At about 10:30, I hiked the 2.5 miles back to the camp, then back about a mile to the docks at Back Bay where I could get internet so I could watch the avalanche play the sharks under the stars and over the water, enjoying some coffee and texting my father as he watched in Illinois about the game's happenings. The Avs came back from behind to win in overtime.
So yeah, now it's past 1 a.m. There's no one around me for miles, and Caesar and the Snakeman are about a mile back on near the Atlantic. So tomorrow's gonna be very painful for me, but you know what? Well worth it.
The next day's hike back was hot and indeed a bit painful. Ty kept on looking for his reptiles along the way, but unfortunately he just did not find any of the species that he was after.
The crazy thing is,
Spots.
yep, should not be any Americans out here. They're not very aggressive. As you can see, as I move close to him, the first thing he's going to do is gape that mouth open. I can't even make him mad enough to do it again. But you notice he's not striking.
Mm-hmm.
He'd rather just slink on off. But very interesting individual here. Oops. So, as you can see, very placid snake. So almost trick you. A lot of times you'll think that, oh, I can just pick this guy on up, but you don't ever want to fall into that. So, I can't even get him to open up for us. He just wants to slink on off.
I did get about 10 minutes of fishing in on the hike back, making a cottonmouth friend along the way.
Just a cottonmouth swimming right at me.
This species of snake is very curious in nature and are actually very unlikely to strike, even with a bit of incentive, as Ty demonstrated.
What are you, flirting with me?
Overall, I didn't end up using more than 95% of the gear I brought, and I did get some needed footage and data, as well as a bunch of dime-sized blisters on my feet. Post your fishing stories of when you may have messed up in the comments below for other fishers to read. Just keep it language appropriate or the comment filter will get you. Fish responsibly and good luck, and definitely use better fishing smarts than I did so you can plan your next fishing trip a bit better.